Good morning, Lafayette. It is Easter weekend. Yes, we are on Friday, Good Friday. I am your meteorologist, Brian Burden, here with the forecast for the Easter weekend and maybe your festivities, depending on which part of the weekend you're at. Could be up for being indoors or for being outdoors. It just depends on what time of the weekend you are going to be doing some of those festivities. And I hope that each of you have a blessed weekend before we even get to the end of the forecast, when I usually go through that kind of thing and let you know what's going on with the weather and give you a blessed weekend as it is. So, hopefully you are going to enjoy the next few days. Last night was pretty rambunctious. We had some thunderstorms rumble through the area. One severe thunderstorm went to the north up near Brookston and up into the open areas up near Monticello also. And then one was south of town. Of course, the bubble around Lafayette itself kind of stayed there. We got a thunderstorm, of course, but no real severe weather there. I'm not seeing any reports so far this morning of any big damage or anything, but there's always a tree down here or there across the road or something that maybe doesn't get reported that we see from time to time. Generally speaking, we were no worse for the wills or ills, I guess is the saying, for most of us here in the local area. And we've rebounded nicely again. We did not get any cold air after the system as we expected. We were going to stay warm after this, and then we were going to get cold after the next system, which is going to come through the area tomorrow night. We're going to have a chance for some rain again tonight, I think, in the forecast. And we are going to have some problems with the rivers. The rivers, as you know, or at least if you've been listening, have they rise after the rain. They don't rise during the rain. Now, that doesn't mean that they're not rising during the rain. It just means they peak generally sometime after the rain has stopped most of the time. And in this case, that's exactly what we're going to see, is we're going to see the rivers rising. And there is a warning out in the Lafayette area for the Wabash rising. It is already above flood stage, which is only where they take the reading is at 11 feet. Now, they are expecting it to get up to, let me see here, I think I've got it written down, 16.3 feet tomorrow in the afternoon or into the evening. Then it may drop back down just a little bit before it rebounds and peaks on Sunday afternoon at into the evening hours at 17.3 feet. So if you're along the river, you know what the numbers mean. You have an idea of what that's going to happen for your house, your home, your property, putting in crops, that kind of thing. You'll have an idea if that helps, hurts, or hinders anything in any way, shape, or form. But the flood warning is out. It's been out since yesterday. They update it about every 12 hours or so, so we'll probably see an update later this afternoon, because I think that came out early in the morning hours, around midnight or so last night. It would be just 6 hours to 9 hours ago, depending on what time they actually sent it out. So for us, though, it does look like it's going to be a pretty decent day today. You know, I guess you can say that. It's warm out right now. Our average highs this time of the year are about 57 with lows of 37, and it is currently 62 degrees outside, just to give you a heads up. Let's go straight over to the charts and kind of look at them real quick here. Let me see if we can pop them up. There we go. And 62 degrees under mostly cloudy skies. There is a westerly wind at 6 miles an hour. Now, we're not coming out of the northwest or the north, right? That's where the colder temperatures will be coming from. And when we talk cold, it's still 50 degrees up in Chicago right now. East Moline, way out towards the state line in the Mississippi, is about 43. It's 51 in Kankakee. And right now, again, 62 here in Lafayette. So we're on the warmer side of everything at this moment. Indianapolis still showing 67 degrees right now. So pretty warm here this morning. As of 9 a.m. Now, when we go through the numbers and we start to look at what we're talking about, we've been talking about this for a few days now, that it was going to get cold and chilly on Sunday morning. About 38 degrees on Sunday morning, it looks like, with a high of only 51, which is below normal. And Monday will be below normal, too, with 54, and a cold, chilly morning of 29. Now, the question is, could we get some flurries off of the lake? The system, the models yesterday kept trying to force some clouds and some snow coming off the lake down towards us. I'm not sure if that's going to happen, especially when I see big old sunshine on here now. But these numbers, we're going to adjust those as we go through the maps and start looking at them. We are going to see a very warm day today, again, back up into the 70s, about 77 it shows for the high here today, all dependent again on the what kind of sun we get. Yesterday we topped out at 76, wasn't bad at all, and then the thunderstorms came through almost right on time, right about 7 o'clock last night. Everybody was looking to the sky to see what was happening, and sure enough, they were kind of in and through the area by, 8:30, 9 o'clock for most everybody. So out towards Attica, they got them a little bit sooner, and they ended sooner, obviously. And then those folks back out towards Delphi, Logansport, that direction, they got it a little bit later, and it ended a little bit later, as always happens with those passing thunderstorms. The good news is most of the severe weather stayed away from us, but there will be another chance again today, although very limited, I think, in that scope. And let's get to some of those numbers and start talking about some of those things. Right now, we've got that 62 for our temperature. We know that's very high for this time of the year. We know a high temperature of 77 is very warm. That means there's some contrasts out there somewhere. Things are changing, and we're going to be seeing difference. But let's take a look at what the satellites look like out and about. The satellite picture right now, here it is. You can see here coming in across the United States. We're seeing the front that went through last night. Look at the big low is blowing all the way up into Canada already. You can see the circulation on that. So that went through, and it tracked right basically from Iowa, across southern Wisconsin, Lake Michigan, and has now tracked up into Canada. Trailing cold front behind it, which is what we took last night when it came through. And but the cold front itself doesn't have a lot of big tendencies of a cold front. In other words, there's not a big push cold air behind it. It's just it was cooler air or colder air than it was in front of the system. So you're seeing a cold front, right? Now we're starting to see another system building, first out in the Rockies and then right in the plains area here too. You almost can see a cold front right there starting to stick out. But we're going to take some sectors of some of this later this evening. This disturbed area right here, which is basically Lafayette's right here, just to give you a heads up of where Lafayette is. And you can see where the showers and this line of thunderstorms is coming right here. And you can kind of take it back and curl it back to the area where this low pressure system is, and maybe another low pressure system there in the Dakotas or even western Minnesota right now, somewhere out there. Northern Nebraska is where it's trying to set up there in that general area. So we're going to watch this disturbed area here today for chances for showers this evening. I told you yesterday it wasn't a great chance, but there's a chance for severe weather on warm fronts, and I can remember a couple times over the years when I was at the TV station that we got some pretty bad weather off of warm fronts. And now we're going to take a warm front this evening as it goes through, and we'll see what that pops up. But and I'll take a good look at that on the maps here when we get into them here in a little bit. What are we looking at, though, around the area right now? Well, let's pop up to the Wolcott exit up there at 231 crossing I-65, and it is really nice out there, not bad at all. It's not the gloomy low clouds. It's just kind of clouds in the area. A little bit higher up, you can see brightness in some spots. It's not too bad at all. When we come back down, we flip it around the other direction and take a look back off to the north. You can see a little bit more of the cloud texture on this one. This camera's pointed a little higher up, and you can kind of see the clouds. Not quite you remember yesterday and the day before, was it when we had the fog? It was stratiform. Everything was kind of just a blanket sheet. It was hard to tell what was going on. Well, you're getting more stratocumulus type clouds here, stratocumulus in their forms, and you see bumps and holes. You even see some blue occasionally in spots, and we can see that there's some kind of sun shining on the ground because we can see the shadow off of the truck here pretty easily this morning. So that's what we're looking at least on that front. Now, if we go down to State Road 18, more of the same. I can still see some of the clouds off in the distance, and I can see texture here. Lights, a lot of light-colored areas, some darker shades in spots. Things like that are showing up pretty easily. And then we come down to 43. Here we are, 43, crossing right here in Lafayette at I-65. And this is right at the exit looking back towards the direction. When you look at this, I'm still a little confused on this. I'm pretty sure this is looking back towards Lafayette itself, so looking back towards the south. and southwest. We don't have enough sun to really get a shadow on here. I see some shadows and spots. Doesn't give me a great indicator on that, but I'm pretty sure most of the time that's pointed that direction. And this one is pointed back towards 43. All right, so we can see back up in the direction. So the 43 exit is just around the corner right about there, and that's that sign I think I can see in the background on that other picture. But generally more of the same. We can see spots of light and dark, so we're seeing cumulus type form of clouds, a little bit higher off the ground, a little bit more stratiform maybe right here, but still stratocumulus for everybody when you get up to State Road 26 crossing 65. And then as you get a little bit farther to the south down towards Dayton, more of the same little line there. Maybe you could, we still could get a couple sprinkles out of some of this stuff, but generally speaking the rain is gone for the morning, and we're going to be high and dry. And then back down towards Frankfort we see again flooded fields is what we're seeing a lot of. Not this one, that's a lake, obviously. But the flooded fields in these spots, you see them all over the place down there towards Frankfort. And with the rivers rising, I'm sure we're going to have some problems with a few of the fields up here in the Lafayette area, too, here in the next coming week with all of the rain that we have been getting. And then there's the truck stop down towards the south of Frankfort. Locally up at, here we are at the, I think it's the Walmart looking north on Sagamore Parkway where Cumberland Avenue crosses it, right? That's where that is right there. Looking pretty good. Again, same thing. You can see the stratocumulus up above it and seeing it pretty easily there. Down on River Road, what's it look like down there? Well, let's hit the airport first. There's the airport because the airport shows some really bright open areas and some of the darkness, so you can see the contrast between the different types of clouds there pretty easily on that front. So that one's a good picture. And then down to the mall, it looks pretty quiet right now. Just the roads are drying out nicely, and we're starting to set up for what's going to be a pretty decent day, at least for most of us. Now, the Storm Prediction Center does have some warnings out for us today, and we are in this area which they call marginal, and marginal to me means most of the time it's just going to be thunderstorms, but there's just a slight risk for a tornado, very slight risk. You notice we are just right in the edge of that right now, and what would this be? That would be the warm front as it passes through with the potential there, but most of the storm potentials back out where the thunderstorms are already starting to pop up and around the low pressure system back out towards our west. And there's always a chance for winds with thunderstorms, and you notice it's the same thing, the same general area, and the same for hail, with us just being in a very low chance of anything happening this afternoon. And then we pop it back out for tomorrow, and we look pretty decent for tomorrow also on this thing, on this system. And you notice what happens, it passes over us for tomorrow, and most of the rain is back out towards the east of us by tomorrow, and tomorrow being Saturday, because during the day tomorrow it's going to rain most of the day, believe it or not. We're going to have some thunderstorms come through in the early portion of the morning, which is a good time for us, right? That means most of the thunderstorms generally, when they get to big and severe categories, generally build up in the late afternoons into the early evenings, and then they die back down a little bit. That's your peak. That doesn't mean you can't get them anytime, but that's what the National Weather Service is thinking is going to happen. The best chance for severe weather tomorrow is going to be in Ohio. While we'll have a round of thunderstorms early in the morning, maybe more showery activity is what we'll see throughout most of the day tomorrow, I think is what we're going to really be looking at. And then for Easter Sunday, everything is passed off and the country looks pretty good. No chances for severe weather there really to inhabit any parts of the country there. It looks pretty decent for just about everybody. Let's go back to the satellite picture real quick here, and then we'll zoom in a little closer here to the sectors and look in towards Lafayette, and you can see the cloud cover there. A lot of high clouds up above everything. You're not picking out any of the details on any of the low clouds, so let's shift over to a visual shot. We're starting to pick up more and more visuals now that the sun's coming up earlier. There you go. You picked that up nicely. This is the one that has some shades of blue and tinged in with it, and for my eyes, I picked the ground up a lot easier with these. than with the other colors. But I can see remember how we were seeing open spots and we were seeing areas where you could see some sun kind of coming through, and then there were cloud cover layers. But see, this is more, it's not that big sheet of just clouds where you can't tell much. You see streaks of a little bit of everything here on this, and we still see plenty of cloud cover back out towards our west that will be popping up during the day. And we're seeing cumuliform type clouds down towards the south. Remnants left over of the front that has gone through are down there. Indianapolis back down farther towards the south for most people. I'll go out just a little bit, back out and see if we got the right picture. There we go. And then you can see where everything's starting to build out towards Nebraska, Lincoln, back down towards Kansas City is where we're going to build our system today. And then the warm front sweeps through tonight, and then the cold front tomorrow in the early morning hours, and kind of makes for a rainy Saturday, unfortunately. But let's whip the radar on here real fast, and we can see where everything's moving. And you can see there still are a couple showers and a thunderstorm here or there, but you kind of get the idea where the warm front is right here, right? You're kind of seeing where it may be drawn in right in there. And believe it or not, I saw on one of the models this little batch of clouds and precipitation. They leave it on there, and they push it right over Lafayette. Although the trajectory right at the moment to me looks to be just south down to Crawfordsville is where it looks like right there. You just kind of run the line straight out. Eyeball says Crawfordsville to me. And it also says, my eyeball says it's falling apart. Look at that, how it's breaking up. And we're seeing just a little cluster of cells. And there's the remnants of what's left of the cold front passing off towards our east. So then, as that passes to the east, then we start to return our flow fully to the southwest, and then as that happens, we can almost draw in a warm front here, and you can see the low developing already out in Nebraska. So there it is. That's where we are. We are right here on the map. I'm sure most of you kind of have an idea, but not everybody is topographically gifted, so to speak. But a weatherman has to be. We just have to be. That's just the way it is, I think. So, all right, so let's take a look at the big map and big picture and what it looks like. And this is the 6Z run from about 6 hours ago, obviously. We're at 12Z right now, 13Z, which is the 9 o'clock hour. So the new run is starting to come in, the long-range run for 48 hours on this. And we can see the remnants. It shows some remnants of stuff here or there. You kind of see where the showers might be forming, where the warm front is, and the low back here, and the thunderstorms forming around it. And we're already seeing some of that on the satellite picture and the radar too, right? So as we go through the morning, everything kind of falls apart, and it's not too bad at all. You don't see much, but then you see some showers popping up into the late afternoon, and there's the warm front in its influx right there, and we see some showery activity as a possibility, and there's going to be a thunderstorm or two in here. What do you notice, though? What you notice is a lot of them are just the pocket of a thunderstorm itself. There's a little line out towards Ohio, maybe back towards Illinois, and the bubble over Lafayette, which is right about there. One thunderstorm to our south. That does not mean this is going to be exactly where it is, but what I notice is the line is only maybe 50 miles wide, while it may be long, and it's broken up. It's broken into pieces. So the broken pieces could be just about anywhere along this line in this general area. The model a lot of times is pretty close. You'd be amazed how sometimes it'll show a little pocket. Last night, where did that pocket of severe thunderstorm show? It showed a pocket just south of us, down at Crawfordsville and back down to the south. And that's exactly where that popped up. And then it showed thunderstorms up through us. It didn't show any severe thunderstorms, but we did have one pop up north of town, up near, like I said, Brookston up towards Monticello last night. At our house, I didn't even hear a crack of thunder. So I'm kind of wondering how much we really got out of that. And I live fairly close to Brookston, north of Battleground right now, so in between there and Delphi. So that's kind of the general area where we are. We're in the northern portion of the county, and it wasn't that big of a deal, at least for us, but I'm sure some people ran into some problems. That was last night. All right, so here's the big low out there. It's forming. You can see it moving. The warm front goes through this evening. We have a chance for some showers. This is 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock, and it's kind of gone, right? Okay, so it's not much. I would say anytime after, what is that? About 4 o'clock this afternoon, you could see a shower anywhere in the local area, and it kind of looks like a shotgun. So you might get something and then it's gone, and then you might not get anything and not see anything at all during the night. Or you might get 2 or 3 showers. You might be in the exact path where 2 or 3 of them come through. So widely scattered, we'll call it, showers and thunderstorms passing through during the night. Then we get into a solid flow from the south. I'm guessing we're going to stay pretty warm overnight. We start to catch a few scattered showers maybe in the early morning hours tomorrow morning, but it looks like the main band of precipitation wants to hit us right about 8 o'clock tomorrow morning. This would be a line of thunderstorms right through there. You can see that pretty easily on the chart of the dark areas and more cellular look for individual thunderstorms right there. But then watch what happens as we go through the day. The line of thunderstorms goes through, but the rain stays where? It trains right over the top of us. And then we might even have another second band of little thunderstorms trying to come through later in the day, but because it's robbed of all of its energy in front of it, not nearly as strong as they could be. So there could be another little band of thunderstorms right here late tomorrow afternoon about 3 o'clock, but because we are cloud covered, it's been raining all day, and the thunderstorms had gone through before, these won't have nearly the impact you would normally think of at 3 or 4 or 5 in the afternoon, right? But you notice it's still raining. And still raining. Did I tell you it's going to rain tomorrow? And then here we are, 6 o'clock, right? 7 o'clock, it finally starts to let up on some of the rain. And then we get all this widely scattered instability showers back behind the system, right? So the instability showers come from the fact that it's very warm out front and you're getting all this cold air packing in behind it. You see the line here, the 5400 line, which is there. We called that the 540 line in my day. It's a solid line. It's on these charts for weather forecasters to notice generally where rain starts and snow starts, right? One side is snow, one side is rain generally. It's just a generality, but we used to use it like it was God's gift to us when we were in the young days as a forecaster back then, and he did that for us. So, so here we are by 10 o'clock tomorrow night, and the rain has kind of pushed its way through, and we're going to clear out a little bit, and then we're going to stay. This makes me think we're going to have clouds Sunday morning, and maybe some sprinkles still in. That could help us with the temperatures. We'll have to see what the new run comes in, because the new run will go out to about 8 o'clock, but we won't have that finished until probably around 10. Let's see how much of it is in so far. We shift over. So far, only about half of it is in, but it's up to the same time frame. Here we go. Look at, there's the moisture going through. Here comes the rain coming in for tomorrow during the day. It pinpoints it. Same thing. Saturday morning, right here at 8 o'clock. All right, there goes the first band of moisture going through the area. That's our first little band of thunderstorms, which is the exact same timing, is it not? It's very close. Maybe a little scattered shower or two out in front right there, nothing major. But then right at 8 o'clock, and then it doesn't go any farther yet. What does it look like for this evening, though? Let's take a look at it. So the new run looks, oh, wow, that's a lot less, isn't it? It shows maybe a scattered, really widely scattered shower. It does keep that area and pocket of most of the severe weather back here, like the National Weather Service is showing. And it continues on just with a chance. As a matter of fact, by 8 o'clock, it's nothing. 7, 6, 5 o'clock right there. It's just, there's just not much with it. Just a spotty shower, spotty thunderstorm. So even less of a chance than what the model before that was showing. And then we go back a little bit and we see that during the day-to-day, it kind of dries out and we look a little better. I don't think we're totally out of the neighborhood of some sprinkles or just a very isolated, very light shower, but vast majority of us won't see anything. This kind of thing doesn't scare anybody here, just very widely scattered light showers. Okay, so what's that going to do to our temperatures? How is that going to affect that? And let's take a look real quick at the convective look at this. I like looking at the lightning density, as you know, because it just gives me a really easy indicator on where my thunderstorms are going to be. And here, remember those little scattered, very light showers that we were talking about for this evening? Here we are. This is at 5 o'clock this afternoon. It shows us a thunderstorm down by Terre Haute with a little bit of activity activity, and I'm going to zoom in closer to us on this one now. Let's go in closer so we can see that activity right there. And then it kind of just pops by. So your chances for a thunderstorm this evening are slim, but they are there. So that's something to keep in mind. And then we will be going a little bit farther out on this, and I just don't see anything until tomorrow morning. And then see how there's just no intensity. There's lightning in this for tomorrow morning, but there's just not much to it. Notice how it just falls apart as we get into the early morning hours. And then we're going to get into the rain train for the rest of the day tomorrow, it looks like at this point. So that's what I'm seeing, at least right now, and what we're seeing there on the, at least on the lightning. All right, so now let's get into the temperature and take a look at that. Let's come back to this morning. Here we are this morning. Let's go back to right there. There's 10 o'clock. It says 61 degrees. What are we currently? We are currently at 64, which is down a few degrees from when we first started, right? When we first started this morning, I think it was 67, so we've dropped. And 60, 61, we're going to hang in there for a while. We'll start to warm up as the morning goes on. Now we are coming in on 2 o'clock this afternoon at 67. By 3 o'clock it's 71. Now we're starting to warm up nicely. 74, 75 right there this afternoon. That is by 4 o'clock. And the only reason we're not going to get any warmer is because it looks like there's a plethora of cloud cover along with this warm front in there. And it's just not going to allow the temperature to get that warm. You notice the line of pocket of potential 80s is still kind of locked up south of us on a line, kind of jagged line like this. Running from west to east. Lafayette is right here. It does look like maybe right around Indianapolis there's going to be a couple spots that could get to 80. They'll see a little more sun down here than we will because the warm front will have been passing through them earlier than it passes through us. We don't get the passage till 7 or 8 in the evening of the actual, probably the clouds associated with that, and so then we won't get the temperatures as quickly, obviously. That's how that works out. And then overnight it's going to stay pretty warm. Look at this, 73, 70. Here we are at 8 o'clock tomorrow night at 70 degrees. It's going to stay in the 60s all night. Very nice and warm. There we are at 2 in the morning at 67. We can see the low approaching. It's going to go off on the trajectory northwest of us and to the north of us. And then 66 in the morning. Here we are 4 in the morning. It's still 66 degrees again tomorrow morning. So a very warm morning again tomorrow morning. But we start to see the cold influence coming in and starting to approach us. And this is at 10 o'clock tomorrow morning. It's still 63 degrees. And the actual frontal boundary is still back here. You can kind of see this dip right here in the black isobars, and the black solid isobars that you see there. That dip is where the cold front is, and sure enough, right behind it, you stacked up all your cold air, and then out in front of it is all the warm air, right? And so then when you think of the front, this is kind of where it may be on the ground, but you go back 100 miles and it's only 1,000, 2,000, 3,000 feet off the ground. And you go back a little farther, it's 8,000 feet off the ground. You go back here, it's 15,000 feet off the ground. See, it's kind of like an arced movement, right? So it's not one just solid wall that comes through and there's a cold front. Does that mean your temperatures can't crash immediately when the cold front comes through? Yes, they can, but in this case, we're kind of settling in for where we're at. It's kind of more of the gentle arc on your temperatures. You're seeing a pretty big drop, though, from 40 to 60 to 40 pretty quickly across the state of Illinois tomorrow morning. Hey, Ray, good to see you this morning. How's things going? Hopefully things going good. It's Good Friday, Ray. Yes, it is. Not only is it a Good Friday, but it is Good Friday. All right, so that's always... I should have had that play on the words right from the beginning, you know. It's a good thing Ray's here to help me out once in a while. I like that. All right, Ray, hopefully your morning's going pretty good, Ray. I'm getting into the weather, and we're talking a little bit about what's going on. I don't know how long you've been in there because I didn't notice it. I'm still not good at checking on the chats in there, but I'll try to do my best, the best I can. But right now, there's the temperature change tomorrow morning that will be coming through the area that's there. You notice it's all out in Iowa at that time frame, and then we push it out into the forecast. We are still very warm into about the noon time frame. We're still in the 60s, and then we'll start to drop our temperatures maybe later in the day. We may stay kind of steady there. Let's see what the NAM Nest looks like out that time frame. Now, the Nam Nest has the temperatures back a little bit farther to the west, so it's a little slower on its movement, but you notice it doesn't really change us a lot overnight. This is all the way out to, let's see, this is 6 o'clock tomorrow evening, and it's still 55 degrees, but we're still in the rain at that point. If you were with me a little earlier, you saw that it's going to be raining most of the day tomorrow. And then the colder air starts to come in. Here we are. There's midnight tomorrow night. It's at 42 degrees here in Lafayette with the winds coming out of the west at about 10 miles an hour. Just depends on where you're at. It's not overly cold weather, but it's going to be a chilly morning on Sunday morning for those of you going out Easter egg hunting early. So here we are at 4 in the morning. It's down to 39, so we're into the 30s. Now, the average low this time of the year is 37, so that's to be expected. Here we are at 8 o'clock Sunday morning. Sure enough, we're right on 37, and that has been very consistent number for 2 or 3 days now to show us somewhere right around 35 to 38 degrees Sunday morning, and I believe we're going to probably have a little bit of cloud cover with that too, so we'll see how that goes. Sprinkles, that kind of thing are pretty much out of the mix, and then it's only going to round back itself back up. Here we are at by 2 o'clock in the afternoon, we're only like 43, and we may get back up to around 50 by late in the day, and that'll be about it. As you can see, some of the warm air out here trying to kind of traipse its way in through central Illinois and get into Indiana by later in the day on Sunday, on your Easter Sunday. Let's go back out to the morning there a little bit. Let's see if we can find that. Okay, so here we are at 6 in the morning, right? Precipitation, what is it showing? Is there any little sprinkles in the area on that morning? It does show a couple sprinkles, and it's still trying to force some snow down towards us during that time frame. This is why I said it's going to be cloudy. Right? You can kind of draw a line on the outside of this right here, and that's where your cloud cover is going to be. All right. Generally, and that's what happens when low pressure systems go by here in the winter and in the early spring. We see the low go by us, and it rotates and pulls clouds down around it on the backside, and we see them for a day or so, and they're annoying clouds, especially in the winter. Sometimes they go on for several days on end. The cold front's gone, weather's cleared out. Illinois, St. Louis is sunny, and it's been sunny for 3 days, and Lafayette's been cloudy for 3 days. That happens a lot in the winter. Well, this is early spring, and it looks like to me, this tells me cloud cover. This tells me drizzle, a drizzly morning possibly at 6 o'clock still in the morning, Sunday morning. And then there's 7, there's 8. It still shows some sprinkles maybe, and then there's a little blue in there. Could there be a flurry in there? Well, now the atmosphere has changed. It may be colder up above, and what happens is if you get a sprinkle or a piece of drizzle or some drizzle out of there, it may fall as a snowflake and just doesn't have time to melt to become the drizzle that it is, even though it's in a warmer area. But right now, I would say we're probably just a drizzly kind of ugly early morning feel, and then trying to clear out as the day goes on, maybe getting into some more open areas later in the day. So is the potential there for that, but it's definitely going to stay cold for a couple days there as we look into that. So that's your Easter weekend right now. It's not great on Sunday. It's not a beautiful Easter Sunday with lots of sunshine out there. I wish it was. Maybe something will change between now and then, but I do see clouds, a chilly morning at like 37 with wind chills at 8 o'clock in the morning there with your wind chills at about 25. Well, we'll call it 30. That's not too bad of a wind. It was only about 10 knots. It wasn't too bad. So we're not looking at anything dramatic there, at least on that front. All right, so now let's go out a little farther. Now that we've covered through today, Saturday, and Sunday, we know if you're just joining us that Saturday, we're going to have some raininess all day tomorrow, Saturday, it looks like. We're going to have some thunderstorms in the early morning, and then it's going to rain most of the day. We're going to have kind of generic thunderstorms. We have a slight risk of a thunderstorm this evening. Very, very slight. Looks very kind of quiet on the warm front that goes through. And then we're going to have our potential for thunderstorms tomorrow morning. Because they're coming in the morning, there's very limited chance for any severe weather out of that at all. And so the big pocket of severe weather today is going to be out to our west, out towards southern Iowa, northern Missouri, and western Illinois. And then it hopscotches over us basically, and the big pocket tomorrow is going to be out in Ohio. And then Easter Sunday, kind of cold and a little gloomy with some sprinkly air there, and maybe we'll break into some sunshine as the day goes on. I would like to see that myself, and I'm sure you would too. All right, so let's go out to the big picture again. and take a look at what the GFS thinks is going to be happening with everything. Well, the lines are very similar. This is the same time frame. This is Sunday, right around 2 o'clock in the afternoon. We've got a lot of weather to our north and to our south. We can see a big high here trying to build into the picture, and it goes through the day. There we are late on Monday. This is midnight, coming in on midnight Sunday, pushing into Monday morning, and there's just no precipitation. We see some stuff to our north. There's a pretty good band of snowfall. Still looks like the UP and portions of Michigan are going to get some pretty good snowfall on Monday for them. Nothing gets to us by that point. We're still in the cold, though. I see the 5400 line south of us, so that tells me we're going to be cold on Monday also. That's just general look at this before we start to shift. Maybe we bring some actual warm weather back in by Tuesday into Wednesday. There we go. Tuesday night into Wednesday, we have a little system bump to the north. Again, slight chances for a flurry or two. When will that last flurry of the year be, or have we already had it? We'll have to see on that front. And then it starts to turn warm by midweek. So here we are Wednesday starting. You can see the flow is coming up from the south. These isobars are pointed right at Lafayette, which is right there. So that's one of those things that we'll definitely be seeing is a midweek warm-up after the coolness on Sunday, Monday, and each day gets a little bit warmer. And then by Wednesday, it's getting really warm. Thursday, we have a front that crashes down and around us. Will it knock the temperatures down? Doesn't look like it does a lot at the moment. But where does this rain set up? We started talking about this west-east rain bands that get set up where they're between one low-pressure system on one side, another low-pressure system on the other, and then there's a stationary frontal boundary that just kind of waves. It waves up and down through the pattern. And where does it set up? Because where it sets up has a lot to do with how much rain you get. And I think the rain that came through yesterday and the day before, it kind of set up right over the top of us. And we had been looking at it for about 2 weeks. The day frames had changed. It had moved a little bit on timing, but it had set up over us instead of south of us or north of us, right? So here we are again. Same kind of thing for late next week. We're looking at where does the rain set up and how is it going to work on that time frame. So here's Friday next week, and we see the rain real close to us or just to the north, right there. You see how that is, and we see a low pressure system down here. But then right along that stationary frontal boundary, and it's starting to fall apart. There's rain in there, and if we get into that, we're going to be rainy and wet, and we're going to have the rivers rise again, and we're going to have problems with getting some of the crops in the field at times, depending on when they're going to put them in there. Middle of April, I don't know how much is going on by that time frame activity-wise, but that could be a harbinger of something not real good there on that front. So most of next week is dry. This coming week, right? But the following week, this is what we're looking at now, is where some of the cold is going to be setting up some of the rainfall, and we'll see a little bit of cooler temperatures off and on throughout the month. And here we are on the 12th, and I think some cold is going to come in around the 15th or so, and we'll see that. There's the 13th, but notice we're getting like rain almost every day, every other day at this point. This is Tuesday, April 14th. We see a really good low-pressure system out to our northwest there. These big long-range models are really good at picking up big storms. They're not good at picking up the small things. So keep that in mind. So look for trends. So maybe we have some kind of front come through on the 15th. That still fits. And sure enough, I see the 540 line show up again right there around the 15th of April. Tax day, but it stays to our north, at least at this point, and then a high builds in for a little while. And we get into Friday, on the 17th. Now we're a week and a half from now, 2 weeks out now. We still see a little bit of rain, but not quite as bad. And I see several low pressure systems developing in the same area we've seen the last few days. And on the same trajectory. So that makes me think that maybe the middle towards the later portion of April, we're going to be very similar. And sure enough, there you go, Saturday, April 18th, you have a line of thunderstorms popping up, very similar to what we've seen here. Okay, so we go back a ways back on this, and then we change over to our temperatures, and you're going to see the contrast pretty easily on here. So remember, look for trends on this, and I'm going to go through these pretty quickly. Lafayette's right about here. You can see the number kind of pass through there. I'll try to stop like every afternoon, basically, when I go through here. So like here's Sunday, right? Sunday at 42 degrees it shows. That's about it. 48 for your high, and then it cools off, right? There's Monday morning, it's chilly. Then Monday afternoon, we're back up around 50, it looks like. So on Monday afternoon, a little bit better. And then Tuesday should be a little better than that, or about the same. And sure enough, there we are. We're hovering around 43. We must get a little kick from something to the north, because we don't get as warm. But I would say we're probably going to be back around 50 by that time on Tuesday. There we go. And now watch Wednesday. Here comes Wednesday. Remember, we said Wednesday this week. Here comes the warmth. Boom, there it is. 55 degrees, 60 degrees. There we are. So we're back up to like into the low 60s on Wednesday. I would not be surprised if this is mid 60s to even near 70 by the time we get out to that point and the model gets a hold of it even more, because it's still 5 days away, right? So I wouldn't be surprised at all with that. And then here we are on Thursday. Thursday's high temperature is upper 50s to 60. Looks like there's a little something there. See, here we're in this spot where where the stationary front could set up right in this general area here, and that's where the rain could be setting up as we get into the middle portions of the month. And you notice it's west to east, right? And the warm air is trapped south, and the cooler air is trapped to the north of that. And where will the rain band set up there? Around the 10th, 11th, 12th of April. Next Friday, Saturday, Sunday could be a rainy kind of situation again, but you see what it does to the temperatures. Then it sags us south into the cooler air for a couple days, right, around the 12th. Tries to rebound us a little bit, but these temperatures are below normal. By the time we get to the middle of the month, we should be like 63 and 41 for our highs and lows, okay? So we're actually below normal when we only see 50s and 40s up here by this time frame, middle of the month, because April's a rapidly expanding month. The month started off with a high of like 52 on the average, and by the end of the month, it's like 65 to 68 degrees. So, it's a rapidly expanding month for temperature on the average. Okay, so then it moves through. Look how warm it is. Look at all this big warm air out there on the 14th setting up after that little cold push. We stay warm for a while. Even show some 70s or 80s in there on Tuesday, Wednesday, and then there, April 15th, there it is. That was the days we were talking about some rain again, and look at here we go. We got a west to east temperature regime setting up, and that means we get back into some cold for a little bit. Not overly too cold, right? And then, there's some really warm days right there. April 17th, all the way into Tennessee, they're talking 90s by that time frame. They're on the 17th of April, and that means we could be busting near 80 on that day, I would think. Something to keep in mind. And then here comes another little influx of cool air by April 19th, maybe cooling down. So, what do I see here with all this kind of weather? Well, I see lots of ups and downs, right? And that's normal for spring. I see in and out showers and thunderstorms. I see nothing settles in steady for any long periods of time at all. It's always a 2-day, 3-day, 4-day, and then it's into something else again right away. There's some potential for some rain to set up over us and stay over us for a while, but we also have a little bit of dry next week, considering the basics of what we have been seeing the last few days, and what looks like middle of the month could be pretty rainy at this point. So that's the big general pattern of what's going on right now. It's still currently 62 degrees outside under cloudy skies. I noticed the update here, I think, changed from 75 to 76 for tomorrow, or for today, on this front. So don't be surprised we get a little warmer, but we got to get into some of this sun. If we don't get into any of the sun, we're going to be we won't even make 76. We'll be like 74, 75, that kind of thing. We need a little bit of sun to warm us up a little bit, so we'll see what we can do on that front. Then a rainy Saturday. Now, this is the MSN's little bug area, and it kind of covers everything for us. If you just type in msn.com weather Lafayette, Indiana, you're going to get this page. This will be the one that pops up to you. It gives you a lot of good information. It tells you what's going to happen in the next 7 days. You can hit here and go a little farther out if you like that kind of thing. It gives you a visual of what it looks like on a day like that right there, right? So it shows the potential. Really, the best chance for rain is 5 o'clock tomorrow morning. It only shows maybe a 20 to 30% chance of showers or thunderstorms this evening, so 24 to 29 on that front. You can go out a little farther. You can see it'll show you different where the radars. It'll show you a little bit of stuff on there for models, and then it'll show you what we're talking about on like Friday. It enhances and shows you Friday the 3rd. That's our day today. But then you'll see the entire month of what the models look like. Now, we know the models only go out to around here. So after here, it kind of gets to be more of a really a conjecture. I mean, conjecture, basically you're guessing after about 4 or 5 days, really. After that, you're having trends. This is all trends. I work with trends after I get past the 4 or 5 day mark when I forecast. That does not mean that some of the stuff on the model 15 days from now won't be exact, but the chances are slim that they'll be exact. A lot of times everything shifts in timing. It'll be colder, it'll be warmer. So look at the trends. Well, what are the trends right now? When I look at the trends, I see today being warm. Tomorrow, not too bad, but that 64 is going to be during the day. It's going to be rainy, and then it's going to get cold Sunday morning for Easter Sunday. We stay below normal for our temperatures. Then we finally get back above normal by Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. We get a little shot of cold on Saturday. Then we're actually pretty warm next Sunday. On the 12th, 13th. Then there's a little bit of rain in there. Here's that iffy period. Where does the rain set up? We get a little cooler for the middle of the month, and then we start to get really warm towards the end of the month. And this is really, really warm for the end of the month. Like I said, the average high is only 68 on the 30th. And every day except for these last 3 days during the month, they show temperatures far exceeding the norm. I mean, we're looking at 80s, upper 80s even by the 24th. And you just can't count on that. What I could probably count on is the temperatures are going to be warmer than the average during this period. So here it's showing 20 degrees above normal on the 24th of April, 3 weeks from now. Well, does that mean we'll be that? I mean, we could be that on that day, but chances are we'll just be warmer on that day. And all this rain and all this other stuff is just kind of hyperbole. Is that the word? Hyperbole? Yeah, I think so. Here's what we've seen. Look at this. This is the month of March. Look at all the ups and downs in there. You see that on the month of March. This is what we've seen over the last month, and it shows you the highs and the lows. And the dashed lines are your average lows, and your average highs are the top line, of course, when you look at that. But here's the month of March at the beginning. Here is the month of April starting off, but look at the ups and downs here during March. And did I not been telling you that this is exactly what spring looks like? Lots of ups and downs. Now, the ups and downs look a little less on the projections, right, for the month of April itself, but there's still plenty of ups and downs, especially early on. Then it wants to get us into a pretty hot spell for the last portions of the month, pushing into May. And then we saw very typical weather. In December, it was cold, right? Then we had a pretty nice warm spell around Christmas. Got a little colder there right around the beginning of the year, warmed up a little bit, and then we cratered for a while. End of January into February, we were below normal with lots of our temperatures. What I see for trends here is not that much above normal, not much above normal. A lot of normal to below normal temperatures. A lot of the highs are still around the average. So a lot of these temperatures back last year in June, July, August, September were close to normal. We had a very warm September, if I remember right, and then we had a pretty chilly October, and then we had a really cold spell in December there where we got below zero. And it looks like our lowest temperature there was officially -5, and then on this day was also -7 on January 30th was the coldest it's been in the last 6 months. And the warmest it's been is, boom, March 26th, we officially got to 83 degrees. That was the first day we tapped 80 this year, March 26th, so a few days ago already. So that's kind of what the averages look like on that front. Let's go back and take a quick look at the satellite picture, see if we've got some updates on that real quick here. We see the radar. We still see that one little batch of cells right here, kind of falling apart, but look at this. Trajectory is definitely Crawfordsville and to the south. Maybe a little bit of that expands out, so there's still a chance for a light shower here this morning, but generally speaking, we should be out of the mix of most of that. And then we're starting to see the thunderstorms developing out towards our west, out towards the let's see, it's Lincoln, Nebraska, and then Kansas City is where you're going to see a lot of this stuff forming as the day goes on today. Cameras look pretty good right now. There is the mall. Let's go back out real quick, take a quick look up north. Yeah, looking really good. See the sun starting to shine pretty nicely on everything here, and we're starting to pick it up. So we're looking to the north here at the 231 junction right there, so you can see that. And I'm seeing blue, lies blue. So hopefully we can get into a little bit more of that. We're back down to the 43 exit, and it looks like I can see some sun on the ground. See how it's much brighter there than it is here. Very easy to pick out there. We go down to the 26 exit, and I see a couple spots of blue here too on this. So very good. We're looking good on the track of that, at least at the current moment. Not too bad for most of us through that, and the pictures that we're going to be seeing on there. And we'll see how that goes as the morning goes on. Let's go back out to the satellite, though, and change it over to the satellite and see what we have for visual now. See if we're starting to pick up even more. Yeah, now you're starting to see a pretty good trend. You're starting to see the trends of some of the cloud cover right through there and in streaks. And so the streakiness means we're seeing spots of open sky. I see a lot of open sky back down towards St. Louis with lots of high clouds above it. Okay, so this is generally where we're going to get into our stuff. We know there's still a couple scattered showers running through here. We were just looking at the satellite, just kind of traipsing along behind the cold front still. And so there's still that slight risk, but generally speaking, you're starting to pick up more and more cloud cover that you can see now on our visual shots in the early morning hours, which is kind of nice to be able to see that a little bit better on that front. Let's switch it just straight over to the red mode. So you see here, this kind of, when you go to here, you see less of the high clouds, so which is good. You kind of see right through them very easily. And you can see the little line of just these little bit of shower right there activity. Making a line maybe up to Crawfordsville is north is where it's going to go. Most of it's still trying to traipse off towards the east, okay? But that could bring us a couple sprinkles because I still see a little bit of development, very light development with that. And we're going to see more of that as the warm front comes up today from the south. Matter of fact, let's go back and check the model out and see what the new model is running on the HER. We'll go to the HER. We'll come in closer, see what it's looking like for this afternoon because we are now 100% in. Let's see what we got here on this. Winter precipitation. There it is. So let's go through it. All right. We don't need any of that stuff on there. All right, so here we are today. Now, we've been through this once before, but let's take a look at it. The activity for today looks like this. Here we are at 11 o'clock, and it does show the sprinkly kind of shower activity in there. See how it's picking it up? Because it's very close to the model time frame, right? So it's picking that up, but it doesn't do much with it. It does bring that line right around the Crawfordsville area, just to the south of us, and it's just a little line of showers picking up and kind of goes through and moves off to the south. But it is involving with some of the warm front that's coming in from the south also. And as it presses back towards the north, here we are at 4 o'clock this afternoon, 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock. We have a shower or two potential right in there, and that could be a thunderstorm or two. This is all on the new run coming in, and then it kind of goes through by 8 o'clock, and then there you go, by 8 o'clock it's kind of past us and we're into the warm sector. But look at that, throws out a thunderstorm or two around 9, so it looks like we're not out of the woods yet by 9 o'clock, and then by 10 it's still over us. 11, 12, still runs some showers around us and near us, and then here comes the rain for tomorrow morning with an isolated shower overnight. And the actual time frame, this says, boom, right there's your time frame. It's 8 o'clock tomorrow morning. There's 7 o'clock, and when we've seen scattered showers out in front, we have a line of thunderstorms just to our west at that time frame. And then 8 o'clock, it's kind of on us. And 9 o'clock, it's still there. And by 10, most of the thunderstorms are gone, but we get into this band of rain behind it. Now let's see how this develops, because this is not what we were able to look at much of because the model hadn't run itself out yet. But it looks like it's going to rain most of the day. There may be another little line of thunderstorms by about 2 o'clock in the afternoon. Very thin line. And it's encroached, it's encased by rain all around it, so it's not going to have a lot of activity with it. So maybe some more thunder or lightning with that is possible. And then we get into some scattered showers into the evening hours, and we start to clear out. And we get a lot of this gloomy, scattery, drizzly, light rain, possible fog into morning hours on Sunday. And this is going to go out probably right to Easter Sunday morning. Here we are at 2 in the morning. We have an isolated shower popping up early morning hours. And then here we are at about 8 o'clock in the morning, and it's just that drizzly kind of fogginess and the cold weather trying to come into us by that time frame. And probably a little bit of wind, but not too bad. Let's take a look on those fronts there. Let's see what we have. That was the precipitation, what we're looking at. We look at surface, the temperature it shows 34 now for Sunday morning, Easter morning. It was showing 36, 37 on most of the models. So that's the coldest I've seen. That makes me think there's a little more open sky, but it sure looks like there's still cloudiness in there, and I think we can show that too. Let's look at the visibilities. See the pocket right there of where there could be some fogginess, and that's a foggy drizzle kind of look to me. The visibilities aren't bad, but it's an indicator of moisture, of course. And then the winds gusting, though, very strong gustiness, so that's why we won't really see the visibilities down, but we may still be in that drizzly kind of activity with the winds up to around 25, gusting to 25 that morning. So a windy morning in store for sure. And then the line of thunderstorms as it goes through picks up its own wind as it goes through there. You can see that maybe up to around a gust of 30, which is 35 miles an hour, give or take a few. So that's it on it. Let's go see the convective real quick and see where it has changed and put any lightning densities near us during that time frame. We go out to today. Here we are today. Let's make sure we can see the times on this. We move out through the day today. There's that chance for a thunderstorm this evening, just right along where the warm front's trying to come through. Remember, we talked about this being here 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock is our best times for any rain out of that if we get any. Isolated thunderstorm overnight is around us, but not really in Lafayette. Lafayette being here, and it's all around us, but not in or with us. We're in the warm sector behind the warm front now, waiting for the cold front to come. You can see the cold front coming in overnight. This is 4 in the morning, 5 in the morning, 6 in the morning. Notice the lightning density, the thick patches where there are bigger thunderstorms is now decreasing, right? So here we are. It is at 6, 7, 8 right when it's getting to us, and there's just no real intensity there. It's falling apart, which is normal overnight to happen, okay? And then it just kind of stays gloomy during the day, tomorrow rainy, and all the thunderstorms pass off into Ohio, and they have to put up with it for tomorrow, and no activity out through Sunday morning, okay? That's it on the lightning projections, at least on that front. Meanwhile, here it is. It's the top of the hour on Good Friday. I always call it a free-for-all Friday because you might see anything. Well, what you saw today was an hour full of weather, chocked full of extended long-range forecast for your Easter Sunday, forecast for next week, some ups and downs. Lots of very typical spring weather is what we will be running into over the next couple of weeks. We know that for sure, right? My daughter just got in here. She told me she left me a couple ash browns on the stove for me there this morning. So when I come out of here, so there you go on that front. That's nice. And she's in there chatting me up a little bit. But this morning, what was I saying? Oh, spring-like activity. Lots of ups and downs where you're going to have 2, 3, 4 days of up and 2, 3, 4 days of down. We're going to watch for a scenario, not this coming week, but I think it's the following week, where rain sets up west to east like we did in the last 4 or 5 days where we've been in and out of showery activity, which has led to the rivers flooding. And that potential will be there again for that setting up. Does it set up north of us, south of us, or over us? Right now, it looked to be just north of us, and we were just in scattered showers throughout the period instead of steady rain throughout that period. Well, we had that set up. We had rain the last few days and in the last week, and the flood warning is still in effect for the Wabash River. The flood warning is the flood stage at the Wabash normally is about 11 feet. All right, they're expecting 16.3 later this afternoon into the evening, then maybe a little drop overnight, and then rebounds again by Sunday evening back up to 17.3 feet, so even a foot higher. Those of you along the Wabash River, I mean even the Tippecanoe farther upstream, know what your levels are like, what it looks like in Lafayette when Lafayette gets to those points. So take your precautions if you're along the rivers to see what's going to happen for those. And then, of course, it takes longer for the river to go down than it does to go up most of the time. A lot of times it comes up pretty quick, but it's a delayed reaction. It rains, and then, hours later it comes up, and that's exactly what we're seeing with this. We've seen a steady trend up as the week goes on, and even after we've stopped rain, the river keeps going up, and that's exactly what you're going to see as we go through the morning this morning into this afternoon, peaking a little bit, dropping just a little bit, and then coming back by Sunday morning again into the Sunday during the day into the evening hours, peaking at 17.3 feet. So we've got it all for you here, anywhere from flood chat to water chat to Sunday morning, Easter Sunday morning, but that does not preclude me from passing out blessings and praying for everybody here. Heavenly Father, I thank you for bringing all the people here that are watching us and me on a daily basis, just giving weather to my friends, mainly more than anything else. But to all of them, I wish blessings this weekend, to have a great Easter weekend, to enjoy what they can on Sunday, being with their families if they're possible, and to, if they're not, to have someone around them, just to know that we reach out and we care about each and every one of you, even if you are by yourself on Easter this Sunday. Maybe your family's out of town, or you're not living in the same town. Maybe you're over at Purdue and you're on the campus for the Easter weekend. Blessings are being poured out to you. Prayers are coming your way. God is on your side, and he is with you each and every day. And this is the weekend that we think the most about why God is here and what he is all about. He died on the cross on Good Friday. He rose from the dead on Easter Sunday. And if those two things didn't happen, we wouldn't be where we are now. Things would be far worse. And I just ask that you take some time this weekend to pause, pray, and think about our Lord Jesus Christ. And I pass these blessings on to you today. Have a great Easter weekend. Amen, Father God. We'll see you on Monday.